Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome to my kitchen. I like to make what I call real meals for real families. And to me, that means meals that are easy to make, that are healthy, that everyone's gonna love, and that are easy on your budget. So stick with me for the next 30 minutes and I'm gonna show you a meaty, zesty meal that your family is sure to love.
Kick it.
So what we're making today is the perfect rainy day meal. This is something that you can make on a day when it's just miserable outside, you can't go anywhere, you're stuck in the house, but you don't want to be stuck in the kitchen. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to prepare, but you're gonna let it sit and cook all day. The nice thing is that you don't have to tend to it all day, so you have plenty of time to get your stuff done or play with your little one. So what I have here is about a pound, a little over a pound of a roast. And really you can use any cut of meat because you're gonna cook it for so long that it's just gonna get so soft and moist and fall apart anyways. What I like to do is I like to cut off the excess fat because I am gonna put some olive oil into it. So I really don't need any more fat than that. And I'd rather have the good fat than the bad fat, right? Fat does add flavor, but with the tomatoes and everything, it's gonna be so rich and flavorful anyways that I think it's better just to get rid of this extra. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my stove on to about a medium high, which is about a 7 or 8. And I'm gonna add a couple turns of olive oil to that. If I can get it open. Just enough to cover the bottom. And remember, as it gets hot, it's gonna kind of thin out and go ahead and cover that bottom anyway, so you don't have to put too much in there. Now to prepare my meat, all I've done is trim away the excess fat. Oh, hello, let me get this chunk off. That one almost snaked by me. And I'm just gonna season it with a little bit of salt and a little bit of ground pepper. And I'm making sure not to use my meat hand in the salt. I'm waiting for my oil to get nice and hot, and then we're just gonna pop this in, and we're gonna sear it on all sides. Okay, so my oil is nice and hot, and it's covering the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my tongs, which if you don't have tongs, you absolutely have to run out and get them. They are one of the best cooking tools. You can use them for so many things. Let's go ahead and stick this in there. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that sear for about 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes on the bottom, and then about 2 minutes, we're just gonna keep turning it from side to side so it gets that nice seared texture on each side, and it really seals in the flavor. And that's also gonna help the sugars in that meat caramelize, and it's gonna make the sauce that we're gonna make just so delicious. Okay, so I've got my meat seared on all sides, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn that stove down. I'm gonna put it on about a 3, so about a medium low. And again, the reason I'm searing it on all the sides is to make sure that that flavor stays inside and also to bring the sugars of the meat out to the surface so they can really mix with the sauce that we're gonna make. So here I have a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, and I'm gonna add that to my pot. You wanna make sure when you're using canned foods that you wipe off the top. Some people rinse them off, wipe them off, just as long as you get it a little clean. Oh, hello, helps if you use the can opener in the right direction. Got a kamikaze lid going on here, which is, see, it's a good thing I wiped it off, right? Okay, so I'm gonna pour in those crushed tomatoes. And then I'm also gonna add 1 can, that's about 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. And again, I already had wiped off this can. Make sure it's nice and clean. I'm just gonna pour that in on top. Okay, so you see that the crushed tomatoes and the tomato sauce are just coming to the top of this lovely piece of meat. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit of seasoning and we're done. Well, almost done. So I've got some parsley. Let me just go ahead and pull this off. And I'm gonna add just a small palmful, which is just about a tablespoon of dried parsley. And then I'm also gonna add about a teaspoon of oregano. And if you want to add some basil or whatever, have at it, because this is just going to make it more delicious. And then a little bit of garlic salt. We'll do about 1.5 teaspoons, maybe 2 teaspoons. Okay, so let me just kind of stir that around and get all those spices nice and incorporated. So I've got my spices in here and it's coming to a boil, and now I've got about 4 hours. So I'm gonna go do a load of laundry and do some finger painting with my daughter. Now I'm gonna come back about every 30 to 45 minutes to give it a flip and check on it. But stick with me, and when we come back, we're gonna get the pasta going, and I'm gonna make you my favorite green bean dish that goes great with this.
Something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
Hey, welcome back. So it's been about 4 hours and this meat has been cooking and getting nice and soft. Let's give it a check real quick. Wow, look at that. And you can see that it is just falling apart. So that is gonna be awesome. Now we've got about 20 minutes until dinner time. So I've gone ahead and got my pasta water going, and I'm gonna stick some fettuccine in there. Oh, before I do that, I wanna make sure I put some salt in the water, because this is really the only opportunity you have to flavor that pasta. There we go. Let's get our noodles in there. You can use spaghetti or fusilli or whatever you like. I like fettuccine. I like a nice long flat noodle, but whatever your fancy, it's all up to you. Okay, so that's gonna cook about 11 minutes, and while that's cooking, we're gonna get our green beans going. So what I've done is I've taken a bunch of fresh green beans, I've snapped off the ends, and I've broken them in half, and I'm gonna put them in my pan here on about medium high. And I'm gonna cook them in a little bit of sesame oil. You don't wanna do too much. This is actually a toasted sesame oil, which is gonna be a little bit stronger than your regular sesame oil. So I'm gonna do about 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. It's gonna have a really strong flavor, but you're gonna love it. Okay, that's gonna heat up. Let's see, put it on medium high, around about a 7 on your stove. Oh, almost forgot my timer for the pasta. Like I said, that's gonna cook about 11 minutes. Those bad boys all down in the water. We don't want them to be half cooked and half not cooked. Wow, I can already smell that sesame oil heating up. It's so delicious, it's very fragrant. Again, you don't wanna use too much because it can overpower everything. So while that's heating, I'm gonna add to it about 2 tablespoons of water. And I know oil and water don't mix, but for this, it's perfect. kind of all together. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. I'm gonna toss my green beans in there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back up to about a 9. And we're gonna get those sauteing. Those are gonna finish up just about the same time that the pasta is ready, and we're gonna be great to go with a delicious meal.
Your mind, your body, and your soul. Something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
Welcome back. It's been about 11 minutes and our pasta is just about done. So let me go ahead and turn that off. And I'm gonna give our green beans a taste. You wanna make sure you always taste your food because you don't wanna serve it to guests without knowing that it's as good as it needs to be. So let's try these green beans. They're gonna be a little hot. It's really good, but I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic to it. And maybe a little bit of butter. Let's see. Just gonna add about a teaspoon of butter. And a pinch, a couple shakes of garlic powder. Give that a quick toss. Wow, that smells so good. Great. Now let me go ahead and drain my pasta and we'll get everything plated. So, just between us, if you don't have the time or you don't feel like making the sauce on your own, here's how you can cheat. Get your meat, sear it on all sides like we did, and then just pour a bottle of your favorite spaghetti sauce on top. Let it cook for 4 hours and it will be delicious. So you wanna make sure you experiment with those spaghetti sauces because you don't want it to be too acidic. If it is though, you can always throw in maybe a spoonful of sugar and it'll mellow it right out and make it really good for you. What am I doing here? Oh, pasta. All right. Let's get the pasta on the fancy platter. And my meat is falling apart. It has been cooking all day. And it's gonna be delicious. There's a chunk of it. Oh, and there's another chunk. And see, you only really need a pound of meat because you've got the pasta, you've got your vegetables, and all this other stuff that's gonna really kind of add to the meal. So even though it might seem like it's just a pound, this will easily feed a family of 4. Let's get our sauce on there. Oh, let me give it a quick stir. So you can see all of the kind of yummy oils and stuff of the meat have risen to the top, so let's get it all incorporated and all together. Get my handy dandy little thingies back on. What do you call these? Let's see. We're just gonna pour that sauce right on top of it. And look how thick that is because of the little chunks of meat that have kind of fallen in there. And I've got some left over that I can put in a Ziploc in the freezer and make some spaghetti or some ravioli or have, meatball subs or whatever next time. I'm gonna get my green beans in a bowl because they're all nice and done. All right, and check this out. A delicious, super healthy meal. I've got my starches, I got my veggies, I've got my protein all together. Let's give it a taste. I really don't even need to cut this meat because it's falling apart as you saw. So I'm just gonna take a little chunk of meat. Oh, hello, sauce overboard. And grab some noodles. It smells so good. And the tongs, you can scoop up a little sauce. These are a very multi-purpose tool. Grab a few green beans on there. And like I said, I've got my protein, I've got my grains, and I've got my veggies. I just need a fork. All right, let's give this a taste. And that meat is so delicious. It's really sweet, and it's got the tomato in there, which, by the way, tons of lycopene, good for your brain and eyes. And it's falling apart. You barely even need to chew it. Try one of these green beans. They're perfect. They're still nice and crunchy, and that sesame and garlic just blend together to make such just a multi-layered, delicious flavor. This is gonna be an awesome meal. My daughter is gonna love this. So remember, you don't have to be a trained chef or cook to make delicious, healthy meals for your family. You just have to cook from the heart. Let's try this again. What you doing, sweetheart?
Searing?
Yeah, are you stirring the banana bread?
Yep.
Great job. You've been doing a really great job, sweetheart. Can you look up at the camera and say hi?